Hello, you. Hope you're doing well, and hope you got a chance to see some of Sunday's live stream from Speakers Corner. It was pretty good. Some really good conversations, actually, and quite a few people with, the insight on the flat Earth. But when you see the strength of the pro and anti religion or geopolitical positions, wow, it's just people are so far down those roads and so blinded by that rage on either side. So I don't want to overspeak, but it does feel like, all of that is intensifying. I mean, it may have always been this bad, but I don't know. I sense. I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. Hey, that it's being done. These things are being done because we're being played, or our natural kind of propensity to support one team over another. Trying to stay out of the team thing. I mean, even Team Flat Earth has been riven by this, 24-hour sun theory. Whenever I think about it, I think about the time in Bournemouth I was with Martin Leaker doing a little bit of activism maybe a year ago. And we spoke to a guy who was a Antarctic tour guide who spent quite a lot of time down there and in the Arctic, he said, which I think is also the Antarctic, but I may be wrong. Anyway, that I didn't ask him just obliquely, so, have you been down there in the summertime, and tell me what it's like, and, what about nighttime during the summer, and obviously how much do you see the sun? I've said for the longest time that I don't know, and as I pointed out on Sunday when I was looking at my drawing on the pavement there, that the sun, when I was first making observations in maybe 2015, 16, 17 even, when I was making observations from my garden of the way that the summer sun rises all the way up there in the northeast and sets all the way there in the northwest, and it's like such a tight circle that it appears to be making for me, that how could it possibly get to the other side of the so-called Arctic? If you're 55 north and you've still got to go another 25 to get to the pole, and then another 25 to get to the similar position to the other side of me, the arc that the sun was inscribing for me was too narrow, completely too narrow. And then it begs the question about how does the southern region get the sun that it does in their winter time. Didn't make sense, and of course I'd had a lot of South African summers as a youngster. So exactly how the sun, which is why I've always been considering other, mechanisms for the sun, because when we first came into flat Earth, it was, Robotham said it's 3,000 miles away and 50 miles across, and big names in the community just parroted that. And so it was a sort of, that was the accepted alternative, but that doesn't work. So there is that channel, not Vibes of Cosmos, Tomb of Illumination, a guy called Lindsay Harris, I think is her name, over in Australia. I've been meaning to talk to him one-to-one for quite some time, so I'm going to try and set that up. Because he's got, he's using electromagnetism and showing how these sort of lines of convergence or divergence are moving in and out and creating the effect that we see as the sun. And in this context, it is, in his view, possible to have a 24-hour sun in the southern summer. So, of course, placing, this is perhaps what we've done, or what Globies in their flailing and wailing have done to muddy the water and diminish the work that we've done, or the evidence that we can show that Earth is not a ball, is that the model of the circling sun as a singular point or whatever is somehow the only possible model that supports a flat Earth. And if it's not that, then it has to be a globe. I don't think anyone in their right mind would be jumping off this sea level into a sea curve just because we can't explain how, satisfactorily to some anyway, and maybe we never will, to those that just won't look. As I was saying to people on Sundays, like you've encountered you've come across a crime, and you put up your hand and say, hey, there's been a crime committed here, and everybody in the village is saying, hey, there's no crime here, or why would they do a crime, or who did it, or what. It's like, I just stumbled upon it. Oh, there's probably not even crime. You probably did this yourself. You made this up in order to kind of, okay. Well, thanks for the support, because really I was just trying to do the right thing by all of us. Andrea and I are talking at a festival on this weekend coming, Hope Sussex. Details are in my community page. Go and check that out. Mine is on the electromagnetic core, but of course it's based on there being a electromagnetic bubble in which all the heavy stuff is settled in the bottom and the gases are in the roof, and us little beings here are populated on the surface of the heavy stuff at the bottom. So it's nice to be getting Flat Earth at that festival. In fact, actually Dave Murphy will be there, so although he doesn't necessarily talk that much on the Flat Earth, he's talking on the fourth dimension, which is really predicated on an electromagnetic system. Andrea's talking on the Friday, I'm talking on Saturday. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to see Squirrel Sniper there, and a few others who, in fact, I'll be seeing a guy who annoyed Dave Weiss and maybe even Dave Murphy, because he was wearing a T-shirt that says it's not flat, prove me otherwise, or something. It's a globe or something anyway. And I'd met him once before, and Dave was like, this is your friend, and he's like, follow her. I only met him once before, and when I'd first spoken to him about Flat Earth, he seemed quite, and he said to me, I was quite open to the idea, but not anymore. Anyway, so we'll see. Some interesting conversations in the offing. And speaking of that, we've had some interesting conversations in our inaugural home presentation or workshops. This is hard for people to hear, and I don't think that people in our community really want to hear this, but actually, we've been deeply traumatized, and coming into truth is actually possibly more traumatic than staying asleep. Taking the red pill, this is why most prefer the blue, because it is so hard and so isolating in many cases to be out of the fold, out of the flock. You know, and then when you see things happening like a tower goes up near where you live and that vexes you, whereas others, you know, are going, yeah, I can get my football streamed in that more quickly, yeah. And now Pizza Hut can deliver with a drone because they can triangulate between that tower, that tower, that tower, oh, and a satellite 20,000 miles up in the sky. And they, you know, so for them, that, you know, these things, new needles to protect them from minky picks, that's like a celebration, you know. Oh, more time at home, you please lock me down. You get that. Whereas we're like, no, no, don't do this, and no, they can't be taking more of my liberties. It's hard. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the uncourageous. However, it takes an emotional toil. You think that soldiers going to war with their acts of bravery do not come back with trauma. In fact, a guy I spoke to just the other day, funny enough, he was a chef for a guy who won the Victoria Cross, I should say, the VC, which is the highest award you can get, and it's very rare that someone who's alive gets given it, because it's normally given to someone whose act cost them their life, act of bravery. Anyway, this guy called Johnson Beharry, he survived a situation where he was pretty badly damaged. We met, I saw a photo of it the other day actually, just from my pre-flat earth world. But the trauma is real, you know, or the post-traumatic stress or whatever, just, you know, disturbance is real. So we need to be doing work on ourselves, you know, we need to be loving on ourselves and taking care of the within. And that's what our home program focuses on, how to work from within, because you know all of this stuff about what's going on. You know so much of what's going on out there. But how much do we know what's going on in here? And that's where that work should be. So look out for our next program, which will be end of October. It'll probably be 4 days as well, 2 hours per evening. So stay well.